Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a beyond the demo for the game Headquarters World War II. This game did have a playable demo available on Steam for free a few weeks ago. That has ended, but the game is getting closer to release, and Slytherin was gracious enough to give me a beta build to play with and a few more missions. So what I'm going to do is play a little bit of the American mission. Now, I think it's 3 missions out of the 9 or whatever that are in the game. Actually, it's more than 9. But anyway, there's 3 nationalities in the game: Americans, British, and Germans. The demo covered the Germans, the first mission of the German campaign. This all takes place beginning in the D-Day invasion, beginning with the D-Day invasion, I should say. So this one is going to be the Americans. I started it and played around with it a little bit. So this will actually be the second stage of that first mission. The missions are long. This one has 40 turns in it. It is a turn-based game. So if you didn't watch the video I did on the demo or didn't play the demo yourself, then just know that this is kind of picking up midstream. So what we're going to do is hit continue. We'll load. You can see this is the American campaign, as I mentioned. And so what happened is this would be an enemy force right here, and you can zoom in and get a nice close view of them if you wish to. Pretty up close and personal. You can also zoom out and get an overhead view. So here we have the beach. This is Omaha Beach. We have our units that are here. These are my units. In the first phase, we had to basically capture these pillboxes. You can see these 3 here, 1, 2, and 3 that were captured. They were objectives. There were some guns we had to knock out. There was an 88 flak that we needed to knock out. And there were assorted enemies that we had to basically eliminate. So at this point, we're ready to move on and push. And you can see we're ready to, our next objective is to capture the city. So here you can see the completed objectives from the beginning of the mission. As I mentioned, we're in turn 34. Counting down from 40, and so from 40 to 35 is basically how I got to this point. And we were just given this objective to capture the city. So there are various checkpoints in here as well, and you can see the flag here for the Germans that would indicate an objective. There's 1 and 2, so we take those 2 and we would reach the third, the next stage, and progress that way. So let's get it going here. So let's zoom in. Now I don't have any units here. Now you can also see up here, if I click on him, you can see we lost 3 members of this squad, and we have this is a machine gun squad, as you can see, both here and here. Your action bar is up here, gives you the list of actions you can perform. Movement points, etc. This is your morale. So if that gets down to 0, they will basically break and rout. The reaction fire and their attacks, it's normally 2. We're down to 1 because we lost one of our loaders. Now you can reinforce your men, and that's done with one of these buttons over here. So these are kind of special actions. Like down here we have a dive bomber attack, which I used last turn. It has a 4-turn cooldown, so it's going to come back at turn 30, I suppose, or 30, 31 maybe. 30, I think. 4, 3, 2, yeah, 30. Naval bombardment, that's a 5-turn. I also used that last turn. Then I used this one 1 turn before that, which has a 3-turn cooldown, and this is a reinforcement. So this will fully restore a unit. So basically you have to kind of balance your management of your units in terms of making sure that if you are taking casualties, you might not want to push too hard. You're also obviously up against a time limit in terms of the number of turns you have left available to you, etc. Up here we have rally, which restores 50 morale points. Now these guys, as I mentioned, they've taken a lot of damage. Their morale is pretty low. 1 more attack will probably wipe them out, either by killing the last member of the squad or by reducing his morale so low that he breaks and runs. So you do have cover, of course, and what I could do is just move him here and then he's behind cover, and you right click to do that. So basically you select the unit, and then if they had the ability to fire, any available abilities will light up here. You also have keys that you can use, shortcuts. You can press F for fire, G, this is suppression. Then you have swapping positions and boarding transport. There are based on your unit type, you'll have various available actions. And then over here you have hold fire, which just tells them not to fire because you automatically get overwatch. So during the enemy turn, if they move through your field of fire, you can fire upon them, of course. But you can tell your unit to basically not do that if you want to keep them hidden. So they can be hidden and obscured from view by the, by terrain or whatever circumstance. And over here we have a sniper. Now when someone's in their feet, when you look at a unit, so let's zoom out because the sniper has really good range. This red line indicates the areas they can actually fire upon, and then these boxes here with the dots in them indicate how far they can move. So some of these, if you come into field of fire of an enemy, like here you can see, this indicates they can see this hex right here. You can see the red line there that follows kind of along here. Or a square, it's really a square, I call it a hex from habit, but it's squares, so it's a grid. If you enter a grid that they can actually spot, then they can fire upon you. Sometimes you'll actually get a burst symbol in here that will indicate that they will fire upon you. I think that's what it means anyway. So you can see here, there's a lot of areas that if I go in these areas, I'm going to be under fire. It's very difficult to get out of their line of sight. They've got a very good field of fire for themselves. Now I can try to move here and see if they can see me, maybe I can see them, right? That's typically how that works out. Sometimes you'll get these cutscenes that show your men or your tanks or whatever moving up. Apparently they did not fire upon them, so now we can fire upon the enemy. So what we can do here is, now the one on the left is your chance of firing and hitting. The one on the right is the enemy's kind of return fire and their chance of hitting. So if we right click on this, we get another cutscene. You don't always get the cutscenes, but occasionally you will. And sometimes it'll be the unit that is under fire being hit or whatever it may be. So it looks like we did hit somebody, now they're firing back. There's a lot of smoke, of course. So we both took a graze, and you can see that reduced them by 1. Now it says graze, but if you hover over this, it says killed in action. And then actually that's no, that was the American. So here on the German side, you can also see their status. So they went from a strength of 5 to a strength of 4. We went from a strength of 2 to a strength of 1. Now if we try to bring up some of our regular riflemen, they don't have great range. But we can, oh, I hit the wrong, see if I get into that left click mode, and that's not really the best mode to be in. I'm trying to, I guess if I go here that they would be in range. So now we can shoot at them and they cannot shoot back at us because they've already fired. Of course our chances of hitting aren't all that great. 42% isn't that high because we moved and fired. So the things you would expect to have impact on, movement and fire does have impact on movement and fire in this game. And they're now down to 3 strength points, as you can see. Now here we have a flamethrower unit with a very short range, you can see, and it's kind of like wavy, which is interesting. And then you also have a mortar unit here, another flamethrower, the helmets are riflemen, of course, sniper, and then over here we have a Sherman. So we can take our Sherman, they have better range. And we'll take them and move them here. Now, I'm probably not doing this right. I'm not overly thinking about strategies and so on. I'm just kind of trying to show gameplay. So they have a 52% chance of hitting. So we will fire upon them, of course. This is the only enemy unit that I actually currently have spotted. That's why I'm trying to kill them. And we killed another unit. So we can go down here, you can see now they're demoralized. So their morale has reached a point. They're at 32 out of 85. They're they're kind of in rough shape now. So if I can continue to put pressure on them, I'll either break them or kill them. And then either way, they're basically combat ineffective and they're out. And then I can kind of advance up here towards this victory point location. And then we can maybe make a left turn and head in this direction. So I'm going to continue to move my units up, because it's going to be a bit of a slog. Some of them are still on the beach. As you can see, we have a trench here. These were obviously German strong points covering the beach. Down here we have another tank, so we'll move him up as well. And we'll get a cutscene. These things on the back, if you're wondering what that is, that's a smoke dispenser for, you know, basically making smoke screens, as you would expect. We'll continue to move our men up here. The risky part of this, of course, is that we may find more Germans, and if we do, they will let us know by firing upon us. Now up here, this is the grid of all your active units, right? In this area here, you have these icons in the upper left corner. It's hard to tell what that is. It looks like it's a firing symbol, basically, is what it is. And then the boot is movement. So that indicates whether they can move or fire or both or neither. And so you can click on that and it'll bring you right to the unit. Right? So this unit is right here. This is the one I'm hiding right now because I don't want him to be killed. The plan is, you know, in 3 turns I'll reinforce him to bring him back up to full strength. And that, I do have another machine gunner over here, so we can move him up as well. I think. Yeah. So the cutscenes, they add some flavor. You may or may not think they're worthwhile, but they add a little bit of flavor. It's cool, kind of cool to see the units moving around and firing and things like that. Let's see who else has movement. So they do. We know these guys have movement. I might be able to get them in. Yep, I can get them in a spot where they can shoot. So we'll go to this building, and then we can take a shot at this guy, and maybe they'll be the unit to actually kill him off. Yeah, 68% chance, so we'll take a crack at it. All right, so now they're fleeing. They have 1 left. They are at 0 morale, so as I said, they're fleeing now. They've been broken, they're routing. They're still susceptible to fire if we have anybody that can fire upon them, like this guy. So we can, take a shot at him and see if we can finally, yep. And there you go. Via cutscene, we found out that we actually did destroy them, basically. Ultimately, they're gone. Whether you hit them and they ran, whatever it was, whether you hit them or not, they're now out. So that is a unit we no longer have to worry about. So now we can continue to move our units up. So we'll move these snipers up in here. They're no longer exposed. Now you can see, if we zoom in, there's a little hidden eye symbol here, indicating that they are now in a protected area. They're in this building, which is rubble, but they are hidden. It's a 2-man, well, in this case, it's a 1-man unit, so they obviously are able to hide, basically. So here we have mortars. We'll move them up as well. Sometimes you have to move into an exposed position only because you're hoping that you did manage to rout the enemy out of that area. Send this guy up as well. This was a German gun that we knocked out. That was the position they were in. So obviously there is detritus spread around from the combat that took place before this, that you will be moving through and past and so on. Some of it provides cover, some of it does not. But what it does do is kind of show the messiness of a battlefield, basically. And that is everybody I'm going to move. So now I'll click end turn, and the Germans will go, and we'll progress on to the next turn. Now, if the Germans, there are Germans, I just don't know where they are. I did kill a lot of them at the beginning of the mission in moving up off the beach, but I'm sure they have squads. They had a gun here. They had some squads, obviously, in some of these buildings. There was one, I think, in this building that came out, actually. That may have been the one that was here that we just basically took care of. So now it's back to us. It's our turn again. Now, I'm only going to do the one turn for this video because I really would just wanted to kind of describe gameplay. And, you know, depending on the reaction, the reception by you guys, that will determine whether I'll continue this. For now, I'm going to stop. I wanted to keep things relatively concise and concentrate on what everything means, how you play, etc., while showing a little bit of the gameplay. And so again, if you would like to see more, please, you know, let me know via comment. If you consider liking the video, sharing it. If you're not a subscriber and want to subscribe, that would be great. I always appreciate that. But in the meantime, that's going to do it for now. So again, I'm Joe. This is the Hexed Encounter channel. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.